right, so I'll just say, hey, welcome everybody here to the first ever Treigning Lab Strong Podcast. Not named by myself, but by TJ Dillashaw.
Yeah,
Here.
I mean, it's the athletes to help you name it, right? I mean, you keep putting out the athletes, and they're all as strong as you could possibly be. I've never been stronger in my entire life. That's why I decided to move my entire life to Orange County. Yeah, and we got David Taylor calling right now. We got calling Coach. Another one of the strongest people I've ever met in my entire life. Watching him do pull-ups with 100 pounds tied to him. He's going to be wrestling in the Olympics. And so, name after name.
There we go.
Yeah.
David's going to love him to know that on the podcast here he's calling and he hears us ignoring him.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it just shows another Treigning Lab Strong athlete that is going to be competing for the Olympics, and I see gold in his future. Yeah. The way he works, the way he takes everything so serious with his diet, with his supplementation, with his strength conditioning. He's the only guy that I know more scared than Coach is to get his information out there, because he uses it to his advantage and just destroying people. He's got the motor that'll never quit. He's a very, very engaged athlete, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So we're super excited about having you here, TJ.
Yeah.
I totally appreciate it. This is actually, I want everybody to know, basically me, I'm Coach Cal, and I'm a mathematician by trade, but an athlete and a performance specialist by passion, and most of all, a husband and dad of 9 children. So TJ's basically become one of our children. Monica and I, part of the family. He and his wife and his little boy Bronson, and so they've been basically telling me, it'd be really neat to do a podcast and start letting people know about what you guys are doing at the Treigning Lab out there, because basically everybody in the world is seeing it, and the results have been exceptional. So this really, I can't really take credit for this podcast. We have TJ's pretty much the driving force behind it, and then we have Carlos Puente Jr. here, who's our producer, and he's one of the fighters here that TJ helps coach, and so basically I'm bringing you people here to not hear about me, but I want you to hear from these athletes, and want you to know that they are out there in the light, and but they're people. And they have the same stresses, and they have the same responsibilities, and the same things that they have to face every day, just like you guys. And so this podcast, while we can bring a lot of science to it, and we will eventually, because the mantra of the Treigning Lab, being success through science, is actually no joke at all. It's actually very real. But I want you to hear from these guys. These are the guys who are out there. They're putting in the work. They're putting in the miles. They're the ones that are training in the garage. They're the ones that are, quite frankly, thrown up in the workouts and doing everything.
Literally, I definitely have thrown up every fight camp.
So I want basically TJ talk to the folks out there. I know they're all excited to hear about your comeback and the road, the journey you've been on and stuff. So go ahead and have it, man. Talk to your people.
Yeah, it's not a secret. I've been dealing with the suspension now. I've been, I'm a little bit under a year now left. It's been a year out. I'm able to fight again on January 18th of 2021, so I'm counting the days off on the calendar, and in doing so, I'm back in the garage. I've got different goals right now that I have the time to do it. I'm looking to put some size on and see what my body's willing to do, how much strength I can put on, and how much more powerful I can become. And I know with Coach's mind and his science and my work ethic, that's going to be no problem. It's only
you're off to a heck of a start in the first couple of weeks, that's for sure.
It's only been
your improvement was amazing.
It's only been 2 weeks, and not only just the physical difference you can see in me, like by looking at me, but the numbers I'm able to do has been quite tremendous, especially going through double shoulder surgery. Before I got surgery and before I got suspended, the last 3 years before that, I've been fighting with blown out shoulders. And the only way I've been able to fight was thanks to Coach keeping me together. I had a full tear in both my rotator cuffs and my shoulder, my supraspinatus. I had a tear in my labrum as well as a tear in my bicep tendons. And so it was no joke. My shoulders were dislocating, bi-weekly. But with the physical therapy coaches put me through and the strength conditioning program, you kind of encased my shoulders in concrete and held them in there the best I could with strength. And I fought 3 world titles that way, and was lucky to be able to make them to those fights. But I guess I was going to keep putting those surgeries off it was because it was next big fight after next big fight after next big fight. It's like, oh, I'll do it next time. No, I'll do it later. I got to get through this fight. But as soon as I got suspended, I knew that was the choice I needed to make. I needed to get my shoulders fixed. 2019 has by far been the toughest year of my life. It has been, dealing with the decision that I made and hitting rock bottom, going from the top to the bottom, as well as going through two shoulder surgeries and being in a sling for over 4 months was definitely no fun. So it's been testing my character, that's for sure. But I'm hungrier now more than ever, and it's time to have that comeback. It's time to regain my throne. I have a lot of exciting stuff going on, not only getting back in shape and stacking some muscle on. I mean, I want so much muscle you can't even see my neck. I want to be all traps, all my traps to hit my ears. Coach,
that's going to be a lot of work for me to get you back down.
And speaking of regaining the throne,
yeah.
So let's talk about where you were. Former 135 champ.
Yeah.
UFC.
Yeah. So yeah.
For those people.
Yeah, for regaining my throne, that fact is getting back my bantamweight title. Something that I had to hand over because I made a stupid decision. I buckled under pressure of the fight that I took, and I decided to do something that was not right. And now I'm paying the consequences for it. But ultimately, I'm going to take every negative thing and turn it into a positive. And it, like I said, 2019 has been very rough, but it's also been eye-opening in the world of business and in the world of getting back to competing and getting healthy and enjoying this last year with my son. That first year of his life, like I said, I was in 3 title fights back to back to back, and kind of ignored the fact of him growing up, and I realized how much I missed now that I've been out this last year and been able to enjoy it. So taking back the throne is getting back to where I was at, but doing it with now understanding what I was missing out on, not only within my son's life, within business, within my friendships, and also family with the Calvitas and my direct family. Realizing the time needed to be spent puts everything in perspective, and you really find out who your true friends are, your true family is, and people that don't turn your back on you. It's been a true blessing to have that. So taking back my throne is getting back that 135-pound belt, but doing it in style. And I'm also going to be hosting monthly seminars here at the Treigning Lab, our home gym, my home gym for getting ready for my title fights. And it's here in Placentia, California, where we're doing the podcast now. We're doing our first seminar here on Sunday, February 16th. So exciting stuff for me to get back out there and show not only what I've learned in the past, but also what I've learned by being out for this last year. I haven't shut my brain off. I've been doing a lot of coaching. I've been helping Juan Archuleta with his fights, running fight camps, and helping out a lot of the other up-and-coming fighters at the Treigning Lab. And, I feel like coaching is just another form of me training. As I'm teaching technique, I get to see it from another angle. Keeps me active. I won't be having that ring rust when I get back. And so this Sunday, February 16th, I'm going to show, what I've been learning and kind of give back to the community, and excited to see, how many people are coming out.
If you want to sign up for that seminar, what can we do besides follow Treigning Lab on Instagram, which is training_lab?
Yep.
Is there any other way to sign up?
Yeah, right now we're signing up through tjdillashaw.com. It's a Camp Dillashaw. Again, you go to the shop page on my website, and it'll direct you to the seminar. And again, it's something I'm going to be doing monthly. This one on Sunday will be mainly MMA striking and MMA wrestling based. I'm going to cover all forms of martial arts in the world of MMA, as well as just collegiate wrestling for the kids. I think I want to do kids wrestling seminars as well too, because that's ultimately what got me to where I'm at. I wouldn't have the life I have now without wrestling. I don't even know if I would have went to college without wrestling. So I owe my life, what I have right now, to wrestling. So I'd love to give back as well to that. So, keep following the Treigning Lab as well as me on Instagram and Twitter and all that good stuff to find out when the next up and coming events will be. And I'd like to pack this building because this is the greatest facility in the world. To see the amount of science and the facility we have. I mean, everywhere from the recovery center, we've teamed up with O2 Recovery, just our mat space and the coaches we have from Mark Munoz, myself, and so many of the athletes. I bring Dwayne in here. Dwayne's actually going to be here this weekend as well too. Just a lot of exciting stuff. I'm excited to kind of show the building off,
All right, so speaking of the training lab, let's talk about how the connection started between Coach Cal and TJ Dillashaw.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, actually a great story. The first time to go back, first time I ever met Coach Cal was when I graduated college. I went down to Mark Muniz's wrestling camp down in Carlsbad, and Coach Cal comes riding up on his bike. You know, he's got his bike suit on. I know nothing about cycling at this point, nothing. And Coach Cal comes up, and Mark introduces me to him. I'm like, oh, nice to meet you, Coach. Were you riding around a little bit? He's like, yeah, I rode from Yorba Linda. Like, Yorba Linda? I live at Fullerton. I know how far of a drive that was. It took me an hour and a half to drive down here, and you rode your bicycle. My mind was just blown by then. And then getting to sit around and listen to some of Coach's Ironman stories were just mind-boggling. The punishment he puts on himself, some of the injuries he's gone through during the Ironman and having to finish. It taken 12 hours to do a race that, I've never done anything for 12 hours straight, I don't think, So to have him be riding on a bike, swimming and running for those 12 hours is just crazy, and kind of a goal of mine one day to actually be able to join him. I know he's qualified for Kona now, and it's really exciting. So, but that was the first time I met Coach Cal, was at Mark Muniz's wrestling camp. And then it was...
Your hair was a lot longer then.
Yeah, I had long hair. Had long hair, was just a meathead wrestler. Didn't know. I was actually enrolled in grad school to become a physician's assistant, but at that wrestling camp actually is when I got talked into becoming a MMA fighter. Mark Munoz was like, man, look, you're real mean, man. I think you'd be a real good fighter. You should give it a shot. I have Uriah Faber coming down here to coach. And so I met Uriah, and Uriah invited me up to live in one of his houses and to start training at Team Alpha Male, And I knew who Uriah Faber was. He was a wrestler, and he was one of the only guys I knew that was around my size that started making it within the fight world. He wasn't making a ton of money, but, just to see that he was continuing to compete and making a living, it instantly got me intrigued. And I competed my whole life. I never really had a full-time job. I was always working in the summer to support my lifestyle, but during wrestling season, that was it. I dedicated my entire life to it. So I felt like I wasn't done competing. I didn't reach my goals at NCAAs. So I chopped out of grad school. I packed all my stuff up. My girlfriend at the time, which is now my wife, is the one that helped me, talked me into it. She didn't think I'd be good at a 9 to 5 and being in a doctor's office. So
much more an athlete than a student.
Yeah, she's like, look, I think you should do this as well, and which was awesome because she was supporting me at the time. She was had a really good job, and so I packed up and drove to Sacramento and lived on a couch for the next 6 months, paying rent to live on a couch and being a broke fighter. And I sold the truck that I built up since I was a teenager and sold it so I could live out a dream, and never turned back. And the rest was history. And then I met Coach, 9 years later?
Ultimate Fighter, right?
Yeah, it's Ultimate Fighter.
Ultimate
Yeah.
Fighter, he came up there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 9 years later, I was coaching Ultimate Fighter against Cody Garbrandt.
This is once you're in the UFC already.
Yeah, I was already
You're
world champion, fighting Cody Garbrandt to regain my world title again, something I never should have lost. So we were coaching Ultimate Fighter, and I asked Juan Archuleta. I met Juan up at Team Alpha Male a couple of times. Weren't that close, but I knew he helped Joseph Benavidez coach Ultimate Fighter, and so I reached out to him. I knew he was a real nice kid, and I needed some help. I needed some bodies, and so I asked him to help me coach, and in doing so, he asked me if he could bring out Coach Cal to introduce me to the guys. And as soon as he started describing what Coach did for him, and I remember meeting Coach back in the day, I said, yeah, absolutely, I'd love to pick his brain as well. And so instantly my mind was blown when I when I re-met Coach, because he was kind of telling me the things that I was doing that were, I was already a world champion, and I just knew that I could eat whatever I wanted to do, just work harder than everyone, and put your nose to the ground and try,
Do you remember any of the things you mentioned?
Shoot, heck yeah. I remember walking in, looking on the kitchen sink.
Yeah, he came into the house that I was staying out in Vegas, and I had Muscle Farm supplements and all these other stuff, and stuff that he...
energy drinks.
and eating all the complex carbs and refined sugars and all the bad stuff that
Which at the
obviously
time was just food.
It was life. Yeah, it was life.
Right.
I didn't know anything about it. I used to make fun of Danny, for instance, Danny Castillo, a guy I used to train with at Team Alpha Male. He decided to go gluten free, And I didn't even know what gluten was. You know what I mean? So I'd make fun of him. He'd order something. I'd be like, oh, give me all his gluten. Whatever he doesn't eat, I'll eat it. Bring it here. It's like I'd bring big old pizza and all this stuff. And, I just didn't realize what it was doing to myself until I met Coach. And then, I'm one of those guys that's willing to work my ass off to get to where I need to be. And as soon as he told me these things will make me better, like, the masticating cold press juicing and juicing lemons and not eating complex carbs and certain things I would switch with my diet was just mind blowing that this could be that much more beneficial to me. And so, I went for it. And a couple weeks after I got done coaching Ultimate Fighter, I went down and did my first training session with Coach Cal in the garage.
Threw up.
And I definitely, that was the hardest I ever worked at the time, and I threw up in the garage. Yeah, so not the last time either. I mean, every fight camp there's been multiple times where I'll get back in there and get push myself to the extreme and have to throw up. But
is that when you got hooked? Is that when you knew, like, I gotta work with this guy?
Absolutely. As soon as I just heard his wheels spinning on what he knew and the knowledge he had, and then how, it wasn't like I was. You're not instantly sold right away. Everyone's got to understand it and then see the results. But when you start seeing results in 2 weeks, it's instant. I knew that's what. So I went from going to go out there and just do a couple week training with Juan and Coach to deciding I was going to do my full camp down there. I decided, all right, I'm going to move down there for my fight camp. Not permanently. I was going to move down and do my fight camp. And luckily enough, Steve Martin. Another huge thanks to Steve Martin. He loaned me his house that he was moving out of. So I got to go move into Steve Martin's house and, chase my dream and get my world title back. And, one thing led to the next. Garbrandt got hurt and my camp got extended. And within that short period of time, I packed up my wife and my son and drove my RV out to California and moved here. Rented a house, was full bore. Because, I put in... I put in a month and I put in like 2 months of time before Cody got hurt, and I was already noticing the difference. Not just by looking in the mirror, but the way that I was sleeping, the way that I was training, the energy levels I had. I was excited to go to practice rather than. I for sure overworked myself. My whole years of wrestling, all my years of fighting, I was overtrained to the fullest. I would wake up.
Diet, right?
Oh, yeah, the diet didn't help. It didn't help my recovery. I wasn't able to get the recovery I needed.
Yeah, one of the biggest things that we saw, or that you saw fairly quickly, was the response and the lifestyle change to the autoimmune.
Yeah.
That was huge. And so we see it actually oscillate depending on how your lifestyle is. So you can really see that the mitigating factor for autoimmunity and inflammation is actually directly tied to what you put into the machine and how much you pay attention to it. And, to me, that stood out. I know... The one thing was later on, about 3-4 months later, when Dave was wrestling, you called me and told me that you guys were going to have a baby after unsuccessfully having about 3 years.
3 years. We tried for 3 years, yeah.
And I like to think it was the diet. Might have been drinking the water here because I have 9 kids. So might have been Monica's
just rubbed
cooking.
Off from Coach, yeah.
Might have been Monica's cooking. But in particular, the psoriasis.
Yes.
That doesn't just go away. They have ads on television and all kinds of things for anti-inflammatories that are highly, highly caustic to your system. But there's no alternative out there because everybody's selling you a bill of goods. Buy this, buy that, buy this. It's cheap ingredients, it's synthetic caffeine, it's processed sugar, it's all these things. But you saw a very key result. We saw it in your hair when I was there, and in 2-3 months later, it was gone. There was no sign of it. Right?
Exactly. You don't get rid of psoriasis. You don't get rid of an autoimmune disease. But with the right lifestyle, you actually can. People don't tell you that. Yeah, sure, it's going to be tough. It's real hard to get onto that diet and live the lifestyle. But, psoriasis, it was something that I developed I really believe, from being overtrained and having a bad diet.
100%.
And creating that within my body because I didn't have it my whole life. I created it. And like you said, I tried for 3 years to try to have my kid. It wasn't happening. And then within 3 months' time of me training at the training lab or training in the garage, Bronson was on his way, and that was, that's, if you talk about, performance is one thing, but your life and, fertility problems are no joke. That puts a lot of stress on things. And, that's the biggest benefit to me moving to California right there, that's a huge thing. So, and I changed up a lot. It wasn't that, I wasn't that I can't just tell you I changed up one thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I changed up my sleep habits. I changed up my workout regimen. I wasn't I was taking the right amount of rest times and listening to my heart rate variability. I was switching my diet up. I was doing cold press, masticating, juicing. I was doing the right supplementation, the hair analysis. I mean, I could go on for an hour to tell you what I changed.
You're a pretty cerebral guy, though. I remember when I sat before I left against the cage there with you up on that there, and I had a yellow pad, and I talked to a lot of people, and most athletes in general looking for the quick fix, give me the magic bullet, but you sat there and ate up everything without winning your attention at all for almost 2 hours. We sat there and you took that list and you took it to heart. And I remember when I was talking to you about atrazine and the aromatase enzyme and mitigating it through diindole methane, through carbonol, things like this, and your eyes just lit up, and you're like, my testosterone can go up with that? Like, yeah.
Short, quick answer, I'll raise my testosterone, I'll get bigger muscles, I'm in.
Yeah. So, a part of it is, you can give the message, but the messenger has to be heard, and so, a lot of people don't want to hear it because it's inconvenient. And inconvenience was never one of your issues. It was, if this works, then I'm going to go ahead and apply my lifestyle to it fully, which is what you did, from food and everything. And so a lot of that's, attributed to you and the support base that you have.
I was meant to be a garage athlete because nothing for me ever came easy. Being a wrestler, when I'm an athlete, right, and I pick up on things and I do things very well, but I wouldn't say out of all the guys that practice with, I'm not the most athletic. I'm the most driven. I will work my butt off to get what I need to get, and so if coach puts this list in front of me and I look at it, I won't skip one step. I'll do everything that I need to.
In most cases, you try and do more.
I try to do more, yeah. Like he told me, this green juice, drink this, it'll be really good for you. So I'm making a gallon of it, right? I need to be drinking 12 ounces.
Not so much dandelion routine. Not so much dandelion.
Like he told me, dandelion will help out, boosting some testosterone. Oh, and so I went and bought all the dandelion the Whole Foods had.
Yeah. Well, you know what, though? We actually use that very strategically because one of the things that showed with the original testing that we did on you, which would be the orthomolecular hair tissue mineral analysis, or the H2M analysis that we do, was that you had an exceptional high levels of heavy metals in you.
Yes. Yeah.
In particular, arsenic.
Yeah.
And I remember when I sent your first test in, the lab actually called me.
Dang.
And they said, do you realize that this here guy is this is carcinogenic, this is neurotoxic, this entire thing? And I said, okay, what do you want me to do? I'm going to go ahead and work with him, but I'm not going to make the guy panic. And so we began a program of almost 3 years of nutritional collation. We didn't resort to some of the medical pharmaceutical things like Sucum or anything like that, because inherently a collator is going to grab everything and go with it, and so all the good stuff we're putting in is going to go too. And so we very, very, I guess, what you call it, intricately developed a plan to nutritionally collate over time using a broad spectrum of amino acids, algae, and things like that. And the last H2M report I showed you, it was gone.
Zero. I went from possibly having neurological problems from having too much arsenic in my body to not having any. And that's not something that I want to talk about for performance enhancement. I want to talk about that for life. Who knows how much shorter my life would be from the lifestyle I was living rather than from what I've learned. So it's been a true blessing on so many, and you forget about them. I forget about the levels of arsenic. I forget not being able to have a kid. I forget about my psoriasis until I get off the lifestyle and it decides to come back on my forehead. But all these things have been such a blessing that you take for granted, and people think that they have these dispositions and there's no way around them but taking pharmaceutical drugs, but it's the lifestyle. Autoimmune, you're not just born with it right away. It's something that you create for the most part,
Yeah, that TH1, TH2 dominance is basically exacerbated by basically an inflammatory society that's thrust upon us at every corner. At every corner, these kids are ingesting things that are doing horrible things to them, but the industry themselves are denying it, and it's not a whole lot different than being swept under the rug like tobacco tried to do at one time, and now vaping actually got kind of exposed much more quickly. But you can take it to the sugar industry. A really cool book to read about that is called Pure, White, and Deadly by John Yudkin, and how just processed sugar in gestation itself, almost immediately upon consumption, makes your body mitigate protein synthesis, which is crazy. So you could actually be taking in adequate amount of protein for your biometrics, and you could follow it by sugar, and you can actually test low protein in your body. So it makes me go to think about all these garbage protein powders out there, because you look back there and you look at the second ingredient is maltose, dextrose, maltodextrin, sucrose, glucose, and all this stuff, fructose, high fructose corn syrup, and you're going. But we don't believe that people have an agenda, which is usually money driven. It's cheap, it's inexpensive, it tastes good, and it's habit forming.
Yeah.
You talk about your dopamine receptors.
Yeah.
And basically the addiction to sugar, and so
there's a reason why you crave desserts, right?
There's a reason why. There's an absolute reason why, and so, that's a crazy thing, and so. Yeah,
we talk. We're talking about my hair analysis. He says that, what do you call it? The HT. What is it?
It's HT, hair tissue mineral analysis.
Yes. So he takes the hair from the back of my head, and they do themselves. You burn it to get the
lab does.
The lab burns it, and it tells you like what minerals are in my body, what I'm lacking, what I have too much of, what toxicities I have in my body, what heavy metals I have in my body, and then try to get myself back to homeostasis, right?
Right. Well, basically, those minerals, there's 15 of them. A panel of them, being calcium, sodium, phosphorus, potassium, all the way down the line. Copper, zinc, boron, manganese, molybdenum, all those.
Yeah.
It's one thing to actually see the levels of them, but what really is telltale is the interrelationship of certain ratios in them. Like I said earlier, I'm a mathematician, so I kind of geek out on the numbers.
Yeah.
But the ratio, a lot of people understand that the ratio of calcium to phosphorus is literally going to tell you an entire picture of your autonomic nervous system. So that's cool. Everybody talks about heart rate variability, and I know a thing or two about that.
Yeah, of course.
Being a high-level math teacher and working strictly with Fourier transforms, and
he's got his own algorithm for our heart rate variability. That's something I've never seen before. I was sleeping with a heart rate monitor on, and I would wake up, and he would text me and tell me how recovered I am. Like what this day looks like. So we have a training schedule, but that training schedule changes off of how my body's reacting. I might be fighting off some sort of sickness, and if I keep pushing hard, I'm going to have a detriment to my body that's going to last for weeks. Or I can nip it in the butt right away, take the next couple of days and relax a little bit more and recover and take in the right minerals and vitamins, and then it'll surpass, and then I'll make the bigger gains.
Yeah, anecdotally, remember the second Cody fight, I called you in that night to my house.
Yep.
And I'm super careful. I don't try to tell anybody what to do. I try to show them the numbers, because unlike politicians, numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
And I called you into the house, and I was like, TJ, I just want you to see these numbers. And I actually told you, I said, I think you have a virus coming on. And at the time, you felt okay.
Yeah.
And I said, I suggest that you talk to Dwayne, because you're living in Colorado.
That's right.
And I suggest that you take a look and moderate these days. And by the time you were second day out there, called me and said, Coach Cal, I'm sick as a dog. How did you know?
Yeah.
And then we followed the protocol, but you were only about 3 weeks out of the fight.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Now, the problem with that is if we'd have been old school, got to train, and have this kind of pseudo trainer mentality that my job is to make you feel like a piece of garbage and to beat you down, because that's what we do.
Yeah.
That does not treat your body the way that God made it. And so you and Dwayne wisely developed a plan of moderation, and within 5 days we had you coming back up. We were actually able to peak you for that fight. And when you came in with that gridiron abs and your showing out there,
I had to show them what I did, show them all that hard work.
So that's all real. That's very real. And it's bringing science at its most baseline level into the eukaryotic cells of your body, and taking off and treating this body the way it was meant to be treated. You know? I like to metaphorically liken it to, we do things to this body that we would never do to an Indy car.
Yeah.
So you got this car. Everybody knows inherently that, oh, man, look at this car. It's a $2 million car. It's going 500 laps around there. It's going 200 miles an hour. And that's all great. And if you pull into the pit and the pit chief sees you put mud in the gas tank, he's going to go nuts, right?
Yeah.
And you'd think, oh, well, I can't put mud in there because it's going to make it not run as well. It's going to spit. It's going to sputter. It might run, but it's going to have to be top notch. But then we have a race car that we've been given by God
Yeah.
that is infinitely more complex. Yet we put mud in it every single day and we expect it to perform at the highest level possible. And when it doesn't, then marketing tells us to take this, and this, and we'll just fix it or temporarily put a cover on it. And we kind of wonder, why are we having these autoimmune problems? Why are we having these sickness problems? Why are we having cognitive problems? And especially in our society today, and if we look at it even on a deeper level, why are we having, what do? In this country, we spend, $4 trillion on medical care. And we are number, 50 in the world on medical results. It doesn't make sense. And because it's all dollar driven, man.
Yeah.
Not proactive, lifestyle driven, because that doesn't make the big companies money. As far as, I'm not.
Very unfortunate. That's the lifestyle.
It's a good thing we're not making this podcast to endorse the big company. but that does let me I want to do something right now. I heard Ben Greenfield do it.
Yeah.
It was really cool. I always wanted to do it.
Yeah.
So Ben, I listen to you sometimes, okay?
There you go.
But it was really cool when he gets to, what I want to do is I want to say, all right, I want to interrupt this podcast to recognize our sponsors. And, but I want to tell everybody out there, we don't believe in sponsors here. Sponsor kind of has the name of kind of a puppeteer, like the Godfather puppeteers, because he gives money and they have you sell a message that you don't necessarily believe in. And my wife Monica and I at the Treigning Lab here, we don't want to tell anybody out there something that we don't believe in 100% and that we don't buy into, that we believe. So basically, we believe in endorsements, endorsing people. And so that basically means you believe what we do, we believe in what you do, and together we got a great relationship. And so right now, this podcast is brought to you by the United States Marine Corps.
There you go.
All right?
Heck yeah.
And that's one of our
toughest human beings out there, man.
That's it. Wonderful people to work with. Also, another backers or endorsers that we have is Legacy Builders, which is Steve Martin.
Steve Martin,
who's a wonderful human being. And just such a great support to all you guys.
Absolutely.
Then what's Gus's company? It's the Environmental
Quality Control.
Environmental Quality Control. Gus has been nothing but a blessing.
Helps us do the build out here.
Yeah. Pristine Hydro.
Yeah.
And kind of leads me into the next segment here, TJ, is O2 Health Lab or the Treigning Lab Recovery Center. Kind of whatever it turns into here. But we have a world-class proactive treatment center for not just combat athletes, but chronically ill people, and retroactive for injuries with TBI, CTE, post-traumatic syndrome. So you're experiencing that in here. So let us know how that kind of brings the Treigning Lab to another level of what you've seen.
There's nowhere like it. There's not one other facility like it. It's either you go somewhere to train or you go somewhere to recover. No one's ever put it all into the same building. And hasn't, even if they have, they wouldn't be able to put the science that your brain has put behind it. Hyperbaric chamber treatments, I believed in it for a long time. I've owned my own hard chamber. I didn't know how to use it as well as I do now with coach's guidance, but that is amazing for recovery. It is great for CTE prevention or concussion syndromes. It's a pressurized acrylic tube that you sit inside of and breathe like 98% oxygen, which will pretty much cram as much oxygen in your body that will let it take and speed up healing, maybe from wound healing to crossing that blood-brain barrier to even just small micro tissue tears and rebuilding muscle and things like that. Helps alkaline your body. So that's one huge thing. We got cryotherapy, any kind of inflammation you have within the body from either training or injury, jump into cryotherapy to help with that. Infrared saunas.
The photobiomodulation coming, the microcirculation, the PMF, and the Avison mitochondrial densification. And, eventually, I guess, here a CVAC machine and whatnot. And that's just a start. We have a whole list of other things we're looking to put in there. But I think it's super important, especially in this sport, which is relatively new. We haven't really seen what the long-term effects are. I know that the O2 Center here treats a lot of NFL people who really have developed, I guess you would call it, kind of a bad name. 20% of the population actually has traumatic brain injury, and what is it? Is it 20% or 28% more likelihood of developing a neurological disorder, Parkinson's or Alzheimer's, and nobody's actually examined this with regard to combat athletes in particular. MMA.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we can do some really cool things with the brain mapping.
Mm-hmm.
We can see the parietal average voltage across the brain. We can
Mhm.
see what a baseline
And that's from
is.
brain mapping, right?
Yep, it's from brain mapping.
And so if someone were to take a hit to the head or be concussed, you'd be able to see that.
Not only can we see it, but then we can start to treat it, and we can follow the excitability areas of the brain.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so cool what we can see. I can see not just a complete disruption in the brain voltage, like somebody put a shunt right in the voltage,
Mm-hmm.
but I can see that they got hit on the left side of the head, the brain bounced off the right side, and I can see the complete inactivity on the right side and the overstimulation on the left side
Damn.
trying to compensate. We can treat it, and we can bring these guys back in a fashion that is very methodical and healthy. What I mean is, it's not usually the concussion blow in football or in combat sports that actually causes the damage. It's, you guys are tough.
Yeah.
So you go back way too early,
Yeah.
way too soon, and it's the subconcussive blows that cause the long-term damage, causes the aggregation of the proteins and the tertiary bending of the proteins and how they begin to stick together. And I mean, sticking together proteins, you can see it right there with beta amyloid and stuff like that, and Alzheimer's and
Yeah.
all that stuff. And so we're actually able to bring something that has never been brought to this sport to take care of these guys during their career and ensure that they have a fantastic life after their career.
Yeah.
And it literally could be a matter of days.
Yeah.
Coming back 3 days early and getting hit in the head is going to prolong the syndrome it could prolong another 6 months.
Yeah.
But hey, they got bills to pay, they got fights to take, they got mouths to feed, family to take care of. But nobody ever cared about that as long as they're out there, you know, making money.
Yeah.
You know, make money, get out there, and we'll deal with you later when you've, you know, blown a gasket. And I'm not going to mention anybody's names, but we all know
Yeah.
of fighters and NFL players who this has happened to, and it's really sad because they're being used to make millions and billions of dollars for promoters and companies, but they're not necessarily investing that money back in to ensure that these guys have fantastic lives afterwards.
Yeah.
And I think they deserve that. And
Yeah.
that's what we bring here at the Treigning Lab.
I mean, that's super exciting for me. Not only to hear the longevity of it in my life and for my family, but the quick, like this, the Treigning Lab has just been up and put up. I haven't even been into a training camp yet since this building has been together, which is very exciting for me to be able to experience all this recovery when I get back to training camp. But also, I'm one of those athletes that's too tough for their own good. You know, 2 weeks before my last fight, I was in a boxing sparring that I probably shouldn't have been doing with someone I didn't really know, and the guy's an absolute killer. I don't remember his name, but I was concussed 2 weeks before my Cejudo fight, and
No doubt. I mean, on a high level, because I even saw it.
yeah,
I saw it, and you were
Yeah.
trying to keep it kind of on the hush, and you're trying to tough it out.
Yeah.
But I could even see it in your verbal communication
you know,
and your cognitive response or reaction when I would talk to you about things. And so, 100% you were concussed.
and that, you know, it's real unfortunate. I mean, obviously, I still think even if I would have known it, I probably would have taken the fight because of the opportunity. But obviously, it's not smart. If I would have known, maybe if I could have been shown how my brain was reacting to what happened, maybe I would have tried to delay my fight with Cejudo. Because I hardly got hit. You know, I pretty much got flicked behind the ear.
I didn't see you get hit. It
and
just
it
grazed you.
It's kind of lost the equilibrium. So, I mean, it's one of those things that you live and learn. And so everything happens for a reason, though. I truly do believe that. God has made these things happen in our life, and He knows how strong we are and how much we can handle. And so He's given me what I can handle, and He's given me the people around me and has shown me the right and wrong and given me the decision to make. So I would never take it back, even the bad decisions I've made, because it's brought me to where I'm at today. And I highly believe that not only will I be the best athlete you'll have ever seen, but the best human being, the best father, and the best businessman. So everything's come full circle, and I know it's for a reason.
Well, you know what, folks? That's a great way to end the first podcast. I can't think of a better way. So I want to thank you all for tuning in to Treigning Lab Strong, coined by TJ Dillashaw.
Heck yeah.
And but I want to do a shout out to his new company.
Oh, yes.
That's
Thank
having
you.
Basically kind of a grand opening on Saturday. It's Clean Juice Company.
Yeah.
Has wonderful people, wonderful organization. So
Yeah.
let him tell you about it real quick.
Yeah, it's pretty funny that Coach has 2 athletes now have started businesses because of him. David Taylor has started his own juice company,
K2 Roots.
K2 Roots.
Yep.
And now I have just joined a franchise, Clean Juice, the only USDA approved organic franchise in the whole nation. I knew that if I was going to do something like this, I'd only do the best because that's the lifestyle I live. And because I got so into masticating juicing and the lifestyle and seeing what it's done for myself, I decided to open my own store. We're having our grand opening now, February 15th. That's Saturday, from 8 to 8, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. But our main times will be from 11 to 3. Would love to see everyone come out. It's here in Yorba Linda. On the biggest cross streets are Yorba Linda Boulevard and Imperial. Very exciting stuff. I'm really intrigued by it. And so I have to thank Coach for kind of pointing me in that direction and the lifestyle he's given me. So I'd love to see you all there.
What's the address for the grand opening?
Yeah, the address is 4881 Valencia Avenue, and that's in Yorba Linda, California, 92886.
I hear you have a kind of a secret item.
Yeah.
Also that you're not letting anybody out on. I got to let everybody hear this one. All right.
Yeah.
This is good. Go ahead.
This is
nobody gets to know.
Yeah, it's so within the franchise we all have the same juices throughout the nation, right? But I get to create my own juice, and it's going to be the Coach Cal. And Coach Cal is the juice that I drink on a daily basis that me and my wife make every single day. It is a secret recipe to help with multiple things. To help with my performance, to help with my health and nutrition, and it is a recipe the Coach is putting together that I'm excited to share with the world. Not the ingredients, but the actual product. Right. So if you're in the Southern California area and you want to get the Coach Cal, it's on the secret menu. You can come into Clean Juice Yorba Linda and give it an order. This is something that has been created from the hair analysis, things that I have been needing to get out of my body or get back into my body. And I think that's the one thing when I tell people about what you do and they're super intrigued in is the hair analysis, because everyone wants to know what's going on in their body. Not only the minerals and the toxicity, the toxic things I have in my body, but also my tendencies. Yes, my tendencies. What tendencies you have in your body. Some people have tendencies of it might be the something easy to become a diabetic, right, or certain things within that, right, Coach?
100%.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time when you test someone, you see that people have tendencies for illnesses and disease, right?
You can see it. You can see definitely the way they interact, insulin resistance. You can see a lot of it. Actually, a tremendous amount. The HTMA acts as a real good springboard, but we'll save that for another podcast.
All right, fair enough. But yeah, if you guys are interested in finding out what's going on with your body, make sure to reach out to the Treigning Lab. The hair analysis is some of the most intriguing stuff I've ever done to see what's going on within my body and how to fix it. So that's something I had to get out there. I had to let everyone know, and if you don't know, now you know.
Let's visit traininglab.com if you want more info on that. And we're at 1025 Ortega Way, Suite B,
Placentia, California.
Yeah.
So
hope to see you on Sunday. Come to the seminar. Come check out the spot. Let us show you the recovery we got and all the great minds we have within this building.